Welcome everybody to the Jurassic Wire. I am Brad Jost, and my co-anchor for this program is Aaron Beyer. The Jurassic Wire is the segment here on the Jurassic Park podcast where we discuss all the latest news on the Jurassic saga and the latest conversations in the Jurassic community. Today we're going to be discussing Generation Jurassic, a new era of Jurassic content, and Camp Cretaceous toys and art style. But before we do all that stuff, get into all that deep stuff, let's welcome in Aaron Beyer. How you doing, dude? You excited?
I'm doing great. I'm super excited. We won. The Snyder Cut is coming out.
I was like, what did we win?
Forget everything else.
So
yeah,
today,
yeah,
forget we're talking about all that stuff that I listed. It's only Snyder Cut stuff from here on out.
Only Snyder Cut. That's it.
I'm doing good. I feel like we've got a new thing going right now. So if you're watching this via YouTube, you can actually see us talking about it, see some images that we're going to post. If you're on the podcast,
it's the same.
Well, yeah, no, actually, you don't get to see any of that stuff. So it's going to be, I don't know, maybe might be better off shooting for the YouTube version.
I mean, I don't know. I listen to a bunch of podcasts that are like video versions out there, and I still listen to the podcast like exclusively for other things. So, or you know what? Listen to each one and give a click on both.
That's the best advice ever. Is just do both.
Right?
Listen to the
Just
podcast and do the video version. It's not like you're missing out on anything. But yeah, I'm excited to talk about this stuff because I feel like there hasn't been a ton of new Jurassic stuff over this quarantine period here. Obviously, like, everything's been shut down. There hasn't been much news from the production and, stuff like that. Really not getting too much. The theme parks are closed down. The live tour is not on. So we have a few things here that are kind of exciting. I'm ready to get into that. So what do you think? Should we get into that?
Yeah, I mean, let's get into it.
Yeah. All right.
It was first off, you're right though. Things were really slow.
Yeah.
The most exciting thing up until I feel like today was that Colin Trevorrow and Emily Carmichael were on Animal Talking.
Animal Talking.
Animal Talking, which is like a talk show that takes place inside Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
And that was really exciting. It was fun to be a part of. That was kind of going to be going to be one of my topics for today, but I think all these news stories that cropped up this week kind of blow that out of the water, just considering there was nothing really new brought up in that interview. The Jurassic community got a nice bit of recognition and a shout out though. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, that was nice. They did, say that Jurassic community is like one of the nicest communities and just a bunch of good people. Colin commented on that and said the same thing. But yeah, the show itself, while really cool and I think pretty darn innovative, it didn't really reveal too much for us Jurassic fans. So that was kind of a bummer, but it was still really fun no matter whatever happened there. So
right, yeah.
But yeah, so this first one, Generation Jurassic, this one popped up. I don't know. It wasn't like just this past week or so. It was like maybe a little bit back, but it really, I think it leads a lot for us to question about what the future of content
I think so too.
is, So Generation Jurassic, it was, it's just a trademark that was put out there.
Right.
So it doesn't really tell us much about it. It just says marketing services, namely marketing, promotion, and advertising for a motion picture franchise. So what do you take off of that information there? Generation Jurassic.
I like it. I like it in wording. It kind of worries me that so I wasn't a big fan of the Maisie. I guess not really spoiler at this point. I'm assuming if you're listening to this podcast, you've seen Fallen Kingdom, right? But I wasn't a fan of the Maisie cloning storyline. So Generation Jurassic leaves me a little worried that we could take this universe and expand it so much now into other forms of cloning and creating nature things that I feel like Generation Jurassic is saying yeah, we can go further with this and we're not going to do dinosaur movies anymore. And you're going to remember the first 6 movies as Generation Jurassic, but that's silly, right? That's crazy.
I love your really insightful scientific term, nature things. Nature things. We got a lot of nature things out there we could explore.
Yeah, I
Birds,
mean,
dinosaurs, trees. I
dude,
don't
we're like
know.
2 minutes into this. You've broken me already, man. Yeah, nature things, obviously. That's what these movies are about. You know, nature things find a way.
um, I, I think yeah, it has a lot of potential to mean like as far as marketing is concerned, obviously we have a generation of fans, coming to this
Right.
franchise, and new generation upon generation like just being revealed to this franchise. Also the return of several major characters, so that's an exciting thing. So it could be used as a marketing ploy to say like generations of people are here to witness the return of Alan Grant, Ellie Sattler, and Ian Malcolm. Something like that. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Um, but I mean, I don't know if it has any deeper meaning or anything. Personally, I feel like I would have liked the wording to be maybe Jurassic Generation better. That just it feels like it flows better for me.
See, that's what I was thinking. Like, if it was that, that's even more scary to me of being like, yeah, we're taking this world and we're moving away from dinosaurs. Like
Hmm.
Generation Jurassic, to me, that's just like marketing, like
Yeah.
synergistic uh marketing speak. So um jealous that I didn't come up with it and coin it and myself. Because I kind of I dig the phrasing a lot. Um, but it is what it
Yeah.
is. Good on them for picking it up and coining it. So I'm excited to see what that leads to as far as like toys. Maybe after Dominion, maybe the toys are just marketed as Generation Jurassic, and maybe that's what we move into. Maybe it's not Jurassic World anymore. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that is fair. What for the toys we had the what was it called? I'm blanking, of course, right now at the name of the
Primal
like the
Attack
no
and
the legacy collection. That was the one
oh
I was
sure,
going
yeah,
for.
yeah. Oh yeah, it could totally be something like that too.
Yeah, I guess it could be something like that. I don't know. I mean, it's not really much to discuss per se, but it does, I guess, lead us more into the future of the franchise, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
It's something that I guess you could maybe. I don't know. I don't know. I
Well,
feel like
it
it
actually
just
kind
sounds
of
like
takes us into
marketing.
our next. It takes us to our next like segment of topic because
Yeah.
like by this point with Star Wars after Episode 8, everyone was talking about the conclusion. What's the
Yeah.
conclusion going to be? What's the final? What's the finale? And I feel like coining this term now, and
Mhm.
then part of what we're going to talk about next with Frank Marshall, it's like no, we're not ramping down at all. We are just getting
Yeah.
going.
Well, yeah, actually going to the Star Wars stuff too. Yeah, it was such a big deal for them to be like this is the end of the saga, the final
Right.
chapter, like all that
Right.
speak. So there was a lot lingering on the fact that this is the end of what you know. So this could be that same kind of thing. This is the end of a generation Jurassic. That didn't make any sense. The end of a Jurassic generation. That's why I feel like it flows better that way. But outside of that, I don't think it has any bigger meaning. But I'm excited to see if they take that route. Despite what we are going to talk about next, it still could be the end. This is still the end. We're going to talk about a new era coming up, but this could be the end of an era as well. I mean, it has to be. If there's a new era, it has to be the end of an era. So this is the Generation Jurassic, I guess you could say. What is next? Generation Cretaceous?
Oh no, no, no. Generation Jurassic that's got to be their new. See, I think Jurassic World though is such a good. I think that's so encompassing. Generation
Hmm.
Jurassic has to be bigger than that, right? You're talking about a generation. Generation is
Yeah.
bigger than world in the sense of s- scale, right?
Oh,
I know
I
they're
mean,
not one
yeah,
to
but
one.
it's literally like if you just combine all these six films together, that is your Generation Jurassic, I guess you could say, right? Like that is it.
Is that I wonder if that's basically like wrapping up the park saga?
Exactly. That's kind of what I've been thinking actually. That's nice. It's a nice tie in there because I've been saying that a lot recently where I feel like kind of like the last movie did this too, and also still talking about Star Wars is the Last Jedi talked a lot about like forget about the past, burn it or kill it if you have to or whatever. Like
Right.
Kylo Ren talked about killing the past, and then even in Fallen Kingdom, Eli Mills says something like it's all in the past. All that stuff is in the past,
Right.
and I feel like that's where we've led to is none of that matters. I remember I don't know specifically who asked it, but somebody recently asked online, do you think InGen has a place in the future here? And honestly, I don't think so. I don't think InGen's a thing anymore. I don't think anything from
Oh,
the past makes any sense moving forward. Because if you're off the islands, if you're completely out of there, what does it matter anymore? You're talking about fringe
right.
agencies maybe creating their own. Has nothing to do with InGen. Dr. Wu, whatever he's up to, he's not going to be tied to InGen anymore.
Well,
So
he
really,
hasn't been for a while.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, the InGen brand is kind of a bit of a different thing these days. It's more of like a security firm than part of the whole park, I guess you could say. Like it used to
But he
feel.
wasn't working for InGen in Fallen Kingdom. Mills was the enemy of InGen, right? Yeah.
I see. This is all kind of like where I think things are kind of interesting because you could say, in my mind, I could say that like um, Vic Hoskins, Eli Mills, Dr. Wu all worked together, and Vic Hoskins obviously had his ties with InGen. So what if
Well,
this
I
whole
mean,
thing
direct
is
ties with
isn't?
InGen. He worked for them.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So
Right.
he's got these direct ties, but like, did InGen become their own offshoot evil company, like evil
It
brand?
doesn't matter. It like you said,
You
we just
know
got to move away from it. Like InGen isn't
exactly.
what InGen was when we were kids. And so
Yeah.
like to me, like it was so weird to me in Jurassic World when InGen rolls up in like Hummers or whatever. And it's like, wait, what?
I mean,
Why?
it's not exactly because it kind of plays right off of the Lost World, right?
It
Like where
does, but
it says InGen on the side of that chopper. What happens
yeah,
to two
but
teams?
all InGen is, it's a bioengineering firm. Like they shouldn't have to have like military grade equipment. Like I never assumed that like InGen had a bunch of this military equipment like laying around. In the
hmm
Lost World, I was just like, well, InGen is going on a mission, so they bought
They
and
yeah.
equipped equipment like that. And so like all of a sudden that became like what InGen was. And it's like, well, that's not really what InGen is. That's what InGen had to adapt to capture these animals. I assumed that once the park in San Diego was up and running, they weren't going to have that stuff. They were going to sell it off or
hmm
auction it off or have some of it, for security purposes. But
Or
for the
just
most part,
leave
like
it.
it's an asset that you just liquidate
Yeah.
because you're a bioengineering firm. You're not a militant like security firm.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's all. That was all in the past because they are now. So, but
Right. Yeah.
but from here on out, I still feel like none of that matters, and anything from the past doesn't matter. So the next generation of films in this saga, yeah, it could
Yeah.
be a whole completely different thing, and that's why I think like this whole almost like the Star Wars like ending the saga. It still might be a ploy that they're going to use with the marketing because they still might be ending the park story. Like the Jurassic Park story, John Hammond, maybe John Hammond gets no mentions from here on out, any of that stuff. Because what does an incident on Isla Nublar in 1993 matter in
It,
2020? You know?
it doesn't at this stage, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we're way beyond it. Um, yeah, it's not going to matter. Like the history of Jurassic Park probably shouldn't matter. I'm not going to say in
hmm
Dominion, but like in the film after that, if there is, well, there is, and we can talk
Oh,
about
yeah.
that. But like um the next film, it's like, yeah, like what
Yeah.
does Jurassic Park really matter? Um, aside from all of our nostalgia, you know,
Yeah. Oh,
and
yeah. It
style.
it
But
matters to us. That's what it matters
yeah,
to. But
exactly,
outside of
exactly.
that, like in world terms, InGen doesn't matter whatsoever.
Right.
And unless like they're which would I mean I would be fine with it if they're just like InGen rolls up and they're going to be the team to capture all these dinosaurs. That fine, it makes sense. Whatever.
Yeah.
But
It reminds me of like where The Walking Dead in season 1, like, I mean, spoilers for The Walking Dead if you haven't seen that show for 10 years, but
season
like
1.
season 1, they roll up like on like the CDC and
Yeah.
they explain what is kind of happening, which they
Uh-huh.
shouldn't have done, but they did it. They explain kind of what is happening in the world. And I feel like we're 7 or 8 years removed from that. And then in the show, we're even further out now. We're like probably 15 years from that
Yeah.
moment. And it's like, does that really matter? Like that big CDC twist at the end of season 1 has nothing to do with anything anymore because it's
Yeah.
so far down the line. The world is so far gone that
Yeah.
they just have to move on. And I think that's where Dominion will take this. It's that I think Dominion will end in real time, just like all the other Jurassic movies do. But then I
Mhm.
think we could have spin off movies that are Jurassic World, but Jurassic Park no longer matters. We are truly in Jurassic World, the world, not Jurassic World, the island resort getaway,
Mhm.
storyline.
Yeah, and I mean we've talked about spin-offs and stuff like that plenty before, and just off the tip of my tongue here, like the Mosasaurus, I've like mentioned like a Mosasaurus spin-off would be cool, like kind of like a Jaws style movie. Doesn't have
Right.
to have anything to do with Jurassic, Also, I know you've been a proponent of this one, like a small town or village kind of like being attacked by like raptors or something like that. It really has
Right.
nothing to do with Jurassic. Kind of in a way, like it could be. This is like the Marvel Netflix versions of the MCU, where like they're like Iron Man, and then that's the mention. You don't see
So
Iron Man, you just hear Iron Man.
do you think that Generation Jurassic could be their I bet that's their phrasing for like and again, this is all off the top of my head. Could that be their phrasing for the MCU? Could that be their phrasing for the Star Wars saga as opposed to like Star Wars stories or something like that? Like, do you think that like movies going
Mm,
forward will either be a Jurassic Generation movie or they'll just be another Jurassic World movie? Like, a way for them to
yeah.
communicate to consumers like, hey,
Hmm.
a new movie is coming out. It does or does not take place in Generation Jurassic,
I mean, that's a
right?
good point. I mean, that is a pretty good point. I feel like it's like so early to even talk about something like that, but
Yeah, it
you
really
know,
is. I mean, we have
uh,
two words on a page.
maybe not though. I mean, if we've already stepped into Battle at Big Rock, Battle at Big Rock has no title outside of just Battle at Big Rock. So
Right.
with that terminology, you have nothing to tie it to Jurassic. So if you said Generation Jurassic Battle at Big Rock, you would know, right? I mean, Generation Jurassic is still kind of like a muddy title. It's kind of doesn't really work
But
still, but
wouldn't it
it's
be
better
easy
than
to
nothing.
communicate? Wouldn't it because so you don't need to see any of the Jurassic Park movies to understand Battle at Big Rock. Battle at Big Rock is family is on vacation,
Hmm.
dinosaurs attack, right? But like you don't really need to see the other movies. So you could actually almost be like, hey, movies 1 through 6 are part of Generation Jurassic. Battle at Big Rock is not part of Generation Jurassic. It is its own self contained story, no previous knowledge required.
Yeah. Well, but yeah,
I
if you
guess.
wanted to
I don't
take
know. I mean,
that, I feel like none of this pertains to Generation Jurassic. We're just really,
none of
really
this will
trying.
come true. None of this will come
No,
true.
we're just really trying to connect some dots here. But I think like you said, Solo a Star Wars story or Rogue One a
Right.
Star Wars story. That is a decent proposition there because it could be Battle at Big Rock, Generation Jurassic. Because it at least ties it to the property that you know. I think, yeah, I feel like they probably need two words at least instead of just Jurassic. I mean, that could have worked for sure, but um, if they want to branch off of the series, you don't want to say Battle at Big Rock, Jurassic Park. That doesn't make any
See,
sense.
we,
Battle at Big
we're
Rock, Jurassic World. That still doesn't exactly make a lot of sense because you're tying it to a park. Even Jurassic World, despite the fact that the world is now Jurassic, it's still
that's
tying
what
it to a
Trevor was
park.
always saying was that Jurassic World had a double meaning. Like it was going to
Yeah.
eventually be a Jurassic World. We knew where this was going. We knew this was where this was going like 6 years ago.
Hmm.
So I don't know. I still feel like
Yeah.
everything's gonna be. You know what? We've gone too far down the movie route. I seriously think this is just gonna be marketing speak
Just
for.
marketing.
It's just marketing speak. I really think that's what it is.
Well, we're getting the juices flowing for like bigger conversations too, because like I said, I was like, this is nothing. We have nothing to say, and then we just branch off for the next
But Frank
20 minutes or
Marshall
whatever.
has something to say.
Frank Marshall does have something to say, so I guess he was speaking with Collider, right?
Yep.
And this was about Epic's music documentary, Laurel Canyon. No clue what that is, but probably good. Frank's tied to it. They did ask him about Jurassic World Dominion, and if I guess if the movie is going to be planned as a conclusion to the Jurassic saga or Generation Jurassic, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
And he said, no, it's the start of a new era. So I mean, that's pretty good. We've kind of inferred this. I feel like a lot of the marketing materials and stuff about the like behind the scenes stuff, whether you're looking it up in a press release or wherever it may be, kind of talks about the Jurassic series more so than the final film or the third in a trilogy. It kind of it never seemed like conclusive. It always felt like they were kind of inching towards more being alluded to. So this is
Right.
really, it's not that big of news to me, but at least to have the news out there for the world, I think that's pretty darn cool to actually have a confirmation that it's not going anywhere anytime soon.
Right. It's basically, Frank Marshall saying, "No, Universal's got the right to print money with dinosaurs." Like, why would anybody want to give up that ability? Like when you think about dinosaurs, I know
Yeah.
that the community is actually, I'm probably the only holdout really in amongst me and my friends, but like I am not interested in other dinosaur movies aside from Jurassic movies. Like
Yeah.
I'll go see another dinosaur movie. It's not like I'm like not interested in them. It's just that like if you said to me like, "Hey, they're remaking Sir Arthur Conan Doyle's Lost World, and it's gonna be all the latest effects, and they're gonna maybe like try to like stay true to like the builds of Harryhouse," I'd be like, "Okay, cool." Like I'm not gonna go see it opening night. Like
Yeah.
that doesn't like really get me going. But you put Jurassic on it. Like we were talking
Hmm.
today, me and some people about how Universal and Kenner nailed it in the 90s with if it's not Jurassic Park, it's extinct. I mean, it that had me like getting rid of non-name brand dinosaurs to like buy like selling those off in garage sales to buy more dinosaurs that had the JP logo on it, right? So
Hmm.
Universal has always done a
Yeah.
great job of basically saying like, no, we are dinosaurs. No one else is dinosaurs. We are dinosaurs, and that's kind of
Yeah.
what always, that got me jazzed as a kid. That still is with me as an adult, and so like I'm excited to see this continue in a Jurassic Park form with that history.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, and that is a fair point because, even with other franchises, like for me, like Star Wars, it's kind of hard to get into other space movies because I'm like, wow, they really nailed it. But that
Right.
being said, stuff like Avatar, I know the one film of Avatar, like I really got into that, but like other ones, I'm like, it's kind of hard. And John Carter, like
I would
completely failed
ju-
at the box office
well,
despite it maybe being good. I don't know, I never saw it.
well, I don't know. John Carter's fine. But here's the thing with John Carter. When we left John Carter, I had a couple of my friends say, "But like Star Wars has done all that." I'm like, "Yeah, but Star Wars ripped off John Carter." Like
Yeah.
so in John Carter,
Yeah.
there's the big sandy. Well, it's a sand planet, but like they have
Tatooine.
like the arena. They have like the battle arena with it's like
Oh,
carved out in the
Geonosis.
sand of a mountain. Yeah, and it's like, well, I've seen this in episode 2, and
Yeah.
episode 2 is like obviously just ripped it off from John Carter.
Yeah.
So, you know, why that movie failed, probably not exactly because of all that, but like it definitely felt reminiscent or like a
Mhm.
ripoff of Star Wars simply because
Sure.
Star Wars managed to make it to the screen first.
Yeah. But kind of branching off of the discussion as well, because it kind of hinges on this too. I don't know if you saw it recently, but Forbes put out an article. Scott Mendelson wrote it up. It was
I
called,
did
the
see
title
this.
was Box Office: Hollywood's most profitable blockbuster franchise is not Star Wars or Avengers. And then the lead image there is from Jurassic World. So the article is super in depth, and I started reading it, and my mind stopped working because the amount of math and I don't even know. It was just, what is math? What was it? Fractions? It's
Math
like
is like nature things. Math is like nature things. Well, wait. So I didn't fully
uh,
read the article. I just kind of like read the headline and then saw the image. So
yeah.
was this taking into account all of like merchandising and global sale, like franchise money altogether? Because I find that
I
really hard
think
to believe.
No, I don't think so. I think it was mostly just in terms of box office.
Because
And
like,
they did, like, for instance, they're saying here that Jurassic Park and The Lost World had a big part to do with that them being the one of the highest grossing, because of like 912 million back in 93, and then 619 million in 97. Like, that was not anything that any films really did back then. So that really boosted them, versus
okay,
the money that it costs to make those movies back then, and even the money that it costs to make these movies. Now it's still low comparatively to Star Wars and Avengers. Some of these movies that are the biggest movies of all time. So,
because I feel like
um,
even Transformers, the movies have got to be a one for one. They've got to be more money than Jurassic, right? They've all made like $1 billion starting at like movie
I don't
3, and
know.
there's been like 6 of those movies. So
Yeah,
I don't
I
know.
don't
Like
know.
the article must be doing some kind of like inflation math. Um, and yeah, again, like basing it off of like cost of production versus cost of, versus profit or whatever. So I guess that makes sense. Um, yeah, I mean, I guess I can see that if you really want to do the math things with the numbers.
Yeah, I don't really want to do those things, but I was reading it. I'm like, oh my god, yeah, he did his homework here. So it chalks up to Jurassic being one of the most profitable franchises that exists. And why in the world would you kill it off with Jurassic World Dominion, right? Like,
Yeah,
there's
we're
no
done.
reason.
We don't want money. We're done. I
That
think
is not the way the world works anymore. Like, they
no,
this is not Steven Spielberg being like, I don't want to make any more of this. It doesn't matter. It's way out of your hands. This is being made. Like,
because here's what's going to happen. Just like most movies do now, if a Jurassic movie comes out and bombs, they'll just either reboot it within 2 or 3 years, or they'll just
mhm.
be like, well, yeah, it bombed, but we've got another one that we're going to do. And hopefully you like that one better. And we'll just move on and
Yeah,
never
yeah.
reference this one ever again?
That is a weird thing to think about, because
One of them is going to
something.
come out, man, and be bad. You can't be good forever.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's very subjective. I've been doing a lot of conversating with people online recently over stuff like these articles and stuff, saying Jurassic shouldn't be a thing anymore. Why is it still around? And then this article from Forbes pops up, and it's like, it is literally one of the biggest franchises you could ever have. Of course, it's still around. You may
Right.
not like them, but they're here. So I've liked them. I've really liked these
Yeah.
films, so
Yeah.
it works for
Absolutely.
me. So keep continuing them. I know a lot of people are worried about oversaturation and stuff like that, and I know, like, a lot of people chalk up the issues with Star Wars to oversaturation, but I don't really think that's the case. I think it was just bad marketing, poorly timed theater.
Star Wars was not a
It's
problem with oversaturation. I'm sorry, the new movies in the grand scheme of things, like
mhm.
I know you like them and I know you love them, but they are a weaker product by comparison of the 70s. I'm not gonna go as far, like a lot of people are arguing, dude, they are a weaker product. I see you over there
I
like,
don't
are
I
they?
don't I don't know, man. I don't
Man,
know.
dude,
What
no,
in
they're
what sense? In what sense?
episode 8, in my opinion, was such bad storytelling. Like it was poorly paced, it was poorly edited. It like, oh, we want to challenge the viewer. The viewer doesn't go to Star Wars to be challenged. They go to Star Wars because they want to see space wizards fight with lightsabers. Like, so To
I
me,
mean,
it's like as
I
long
can
as
actually agree with that sentiment there. That like
like
it was
don't
never about challenging your mind and being like over dramatic and stuff.
no, just give the people what they want. And I think Jurassic is doing that so well in the sense it's like I think the Maisie storyline is probably the craziest we've ever gotten. And like I sit
Hmm.
back and I'm like, oh, that's pretty dangerous. Colin Trevorrow and Jay Bayona, like you're
Yeah.
kind of like freaking me out here. But yeah, really, man. And like I got to like episode 9, and like I'm just like, dude, episode 9 literally starts with them being like, we just gotta jump, 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 jump. And it's because episode 8 introduced this crazy idea that these giant ships can, travel through light speed or track them through light speed. And
Yeah.
it was like when episode 9 started and it was just go, 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 I was just like, you got to let me breathe. Have you ever seen a Star Wars movie? Like, just chill, relax. Let's enjoy
Yeah.
Star Wars. But it's like, no, jump, 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 jump. I'm like, dude,
Look,
I can't.
I can't argue with that. I mean, the my main issue with that movie, despite I do love the movie, the first 30 minutes really need another 30 minutes.
Yeah,
It's
totally.
it's too crammed in there. But I have to say I love that light speed skipping. That is pretty darn cool.
I think the concept is cool, but that's your 1 hour mark. Like, that's your 1 hour mark event.
Yeah, it's like something you
That's
reveal like
not like,
later on.
oh man, it was that movie was bananas, like right from the get go.
Yeah. But this whole new era that we have here anyway for Jurassic, at least as it's concerned, there wasn't a ton of information. It was just the fact that he also did quote, the dinosaurs are now on the mainland amongst us, and they will be here for quite some time, I hope. So I mean, yeah, I mean he's like, well, maybe I
I
should
hope they keep
backtrack a
making
little bit.
money.
Yeah, and yeah, if they do make that money, yeah, that they will be there for quite some time. But it's the start of a new era. Um, and as far as what we have coming, we do know that later this year, it seems like Camp Cretaceous is coming, and we also do have we did have that word about a live action show coming in the future too. So what that is, I don't know. Apparently, it's being tied to Jurassic World Dominion. So I don't know,
I
but
mean,
we're getting
the
a lot
live
of stuff.
action show, I mean, sure. And now that Dominion, so I put out today on Facebook, like, what do you want to hear us talk about? And I could actually get the person's name, I think. Are
Oh
they
yeah,
still around? No, I don't have it up. Oh, that's my bad. But it was like, well, let's have an honest conversation. Do you think Dominion is getting postponed? And
mm.
100% Dominion is getting postponed. That movie will not be coming out June 2021. There's no way.
I yeah, I cannot
There's no
imagine that
way.
that will be. Yeah, I'm surprised it's kind of taken them this long because there was so many things booking up over the past few weeks, like
Right.
Fast and Furious and what do you call it? James Bond. They banked some slots really early on, but then recently there's been a whole slew of movies capturing those dates right around June and July and all that stuff. In 2021. So it seems like it's going to be really crowded. First off. So if they move it to 2022, it would make everything nice and easy. But I don't know. I do
Well,
have the
I mean,
I do have the
they're grabbing up the 2021 slots, and like you're saying, they're around the Jurassic World. As soon as Jurassic World announces their postponement,
mhm.
that slot will be gone by another movie that was way further down the
Oh yeah.
pipeline than
Yeah.
what Jurassic World was.
They're 3
Um,
weeks down the pipeline here. So we're
yeah,
really
exactly.
nowhere, nowhere. And
Yeah,
that question that you brought up was from Jesse Sanchez in the Facebook group. Um but yeah, and uh or do you think 2021 but just not June? Do you think that's a possibility, he asks?
no, I think they keep going June. I think this is a June 2022,
Mhm.
possibly June 2023. I really think 2023
Oh,
is
wow.
not out of the question.
I don't know. I don't know if they go that far, but I would definitely say 2022. Like I would be 99% sure that it gets pushed to 2022. But I don't know if I feel like I've talked about this. I don't know if we've talked about it together or not, but maybe this gives them the opportunity to say, all right, this is a huge movie. Let's split it up. into 2 parts. And that's why I'm like, all right, let's get part one,
Hmm.
2022, part two, 2023. So that you follow it right up back to back there. Because there was hints or words, information out there that this could have been 2 movies at one point, but
Do you
I
think
don't know.
that sets a dangerous precedent for like annualizing? Like, can you think of a franchise that has ever done well with that?
I mean, Marvel for sure.
Well,
And I mean,
I
Star
guess.
Wars did do well. They just flubbed the release of Solo. Like they really messed that up. That had nothing to do with the movie. The movie's great. It's just that they did a poor job marketing it and tied it too closely to other things. So I think Jurassic's an
Mm.
interesting one, though. I mean, we'll see if it's going to be oversaturated or not when Camp Cretaceous is out, and you got another movie and maybe a live action TV show down the road. Who knows? But I don't think you can oversaturate it with their plan so far.
No, with the plan so far, I don't think so. I don't think I don't think a dinosaur movie a year is. I don't think that's oversaturated because, like you said, you can go see a superhero movie 10 times a year. So a dinosaur movie once a year, how can that possibly be oversaturation? I just I don't know. I I don't I don't see Universal having the pipeline to be pumping out films at that rate. Like, sure, maybe Jurassic World Dominion and then like a really quick follow up based on a long shooting schedule or a ton of extra footage, but I just feel like do you think they've got to have the next story planned, right? There's got to be an outline for the next story after Dominion. There has to be.
I mean, you would think so. Yeah, I don't think they'd be that blind, but there there was some information at one point for Universal that um I forget if it was Fast 9 and Fast 10 or Fast 10 and Fast 11, but they would be back to back in 2 movies at one point. So I don't know. That is Universal, and it's stuff that's at least considered on their end. So I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. Yeah, I just don't know how well they are at doing it, how good they could pull it off.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they're gonna need a reason to keep churning out toys,
Mm.
and because like let's face it, that's where majority I would imagine of the money comes from is merchandise. Although I don't know, I feel like merchandising, even with the great line that Mattel's produce, is merchandising still a big thing for Jurassic?
Um,
I mean, like really
I'm
think about it. Aside from the toys that you order
aside from the
every
toys.
quarter, that's really it.
I mean, there's a bit of clothing and stuff like that, and yeah, but yeah, when it comes to like trying to narrow down what there is, I'm like, there's not like it's not like Star Wars where they plaster everything on everything. Um, Jurassic does it with
Right.
like the food and stuff like that when the movie's out, a cereal box, a Cheez-Its box or what, like stuff like that. But like outside of all that stuff, like it's just not. Yeah, it doesn't seem as much of a heavy hitter, but I don't know.
Hmm. I mean, to me, that's where this Generation Jurassic then comes back into play, right? Like, but I don't. It's so weird, man. I don't know. It's going to be super interesting to see what happens after Dominion. And like I said, I think Dominion is definitely getting postponed till at least 2022. And I think that that's primarily based on physical production. I think
Mm-hmm.
anything digital, I think that's all still plowing forward. But if they don't have the back plates to support that, Jurassic doesn't traditionally do full CG scenes. I think the last full CG scene I can remember, and really the only one that comes to mind, is the Raptor Squad chase sequence in the jungle. That whole sequence is 100% CG except for Chris Pratt. But like Jurassic traditionally shoots back plates and then adds dinosaurs to it. So you
Well, yeah,
know,
I mean, I don't know. I see it like I don't know all the ins and outs, but I know. Speaking of that animal talking thing, that was like the one detail that Colin kind of brought up was the fact that they're going to be using that real time rendering camera equipment
I
stuff.
yeah,
So
but that's like a previs kind of thing. They're not getting their final
yeah,
renders,
no,
in an iPad. Like that's not happening. This is just so that they can sit on. This is so they can be on set, especially in a real world set,
Hmm.
and kind of see the movie on like an iPad or on a
Yeah.
monitor. They're not
Yeah.
rendering this stuff with like Unreal or anything. Not, I mean, not that I'm aware of. Like this is all ILM. This is all going to be through. I think ILM is RenderMan still. I think like this is. I think the digital stuff, as far as creating assets, I think that stuff is probably still moving. It's just that
Hmm.
if they don't have footage to put them in, there's no
Yeah.
tracking work, there's no lighting work,
Yeah.
there's no, none of that stuff can be done. They basically can make models and animation cycles. That's about it.
Yeah. And then the whole Maisie potentially, or the actress Isabella Sermon
Ooh,
potentially growing up, like there's that factor as
I
well. So it's gonna be it might be just like a whole reset. Like I wouldn't be surprised to see a reset.
I think
But
they
who
throw out
knows?
everything that Maisie's done at this
You think
point.
so? Yeah.
Yeah, I think all her footage goes away. Um, I think maybe anything with Chris Pratt they could potentially use. Um,
Oh, I mean, yeah, he's. I felt the
but
older cast is fine. Like outside of maybe Sam Neill has one eye right now, I guess, or something. Yeah, he's got like a patch. He had like eye surgery or something, and he has a patch on his eye. I don't know.
oh no, this man is precious cargo. We have to keep him as safe as possible.
I know. I'm like seeing him going in and out of like hospitals. He's got his masks on and he's got an eye patch on. I'm like, oh God, what happened? What happened? I mean, I would not be opposed to a Dr. Grant with one eye. That would be pretty cool. Like that would be like the old indie. You're like, whoa, what happened? What happened to that guy? And they never tell you what happened to Dr. Grant. He just
Oh,
you don't want to know. You know,
we just all
just
right. I
sidestep
do want to know, but yeah.
it. Oh man, but what is this new era of content? You just think it's so far we just have films, right? So we have no, and this is something we always get like kind of log jammed on because we don't really know what the next film is, outside of a leaked synopsis and stuff like that. But where do you go from there? I have zero idea outside of just like we were talking about before, more random stories. Let me ask you this. Speaking
But
of.
do you know how you get me to sign up for Peacock when that comes out? You put a brand new Jurassic World television series on Peacock within a year. I mean, I'm signing up for
Mhm,
HBO Max or whatever that is as soon as the Snyder Cut comes out. Like,
yeah.
that's something I want to see. Whether or not I keep HBO Max, I don't know. I'm in a situation where I'm finding that a lot of these streaming services that have exclusive rights to movies, I already own the movies on Blu-ray.
Hmm.
So I'm not signing up for these services for movies. I'm signing up for them for original content. But
Hmm.
like to me, like something like a Jurassic World series, that's original enough that I'll sign up to watch that at least,
Yeah. Yeah, and I understand like the whole DreamWorks element that they partnered up with DreamWorks, for this, um, and they've been producing these Netflix television series for a while with Camp Cretaceous. But it's so strange that like Peacock is premiering currently, and like Camp Cretaceous hasn't even hit yet, but yet the series is going to be on Netflix. It's like what is going on here? Like I actually
old old
I have.
deals.
Yeah, I know, and it's so all this is so confusing because instead of what is Netflix was this hub, right? This point where you could go and get whatever you
Yeah.
want, right? And then all of a sudden, all these other companies, CBS, HBO now, uh, as Peacock, and with NBC Universal, they're all creating their own, but they're all creating their own Netflixes. They're not creating their own content services, like where you can only see Universal content. You can actually see CBS content on Peacock, and I'm very confused. I log in there, I'm like, I don't know.
Why?
All these shows were on CBS. I have no idea why any of this stuff is on Peacock. It makes zero sense, and
But there's CBS All Access. Why?
I I don't understand. I legit do not
Okay.
understand. And even there was talk about like This Is Us, like that's like NBC's like big show. Apparently somebody has the rights to air the first several seasons, and then Peacock can only have season whatever onward, and I'm like, this is not working out for anybody. Like this does not work for us. Right now that
Who's
Peacock.
gonna win in all this is cable. We're all gonna go
I
back to cable.
know. I know, right? Peacock has the first three Jurassic films. They have Fast Fast 3 and 4. Well, why? Not the others. None of the others. Um like, and if you look up like the HBO Max, it's like doesn't isn't like Friends on there, and that was like not an HBO show, right? And
Well,
then.
here's the thing though. So you're talking about production company versus
Mhm.
distribution. So
Yeah.
Friends aired on NBC, which I think was even Universal at the time, but Friends is actually
It's a Warner
produced
Brothers or
by Warner Brothers,
yeah.
and Warner Brothers is the big company that signed with HBO Max.
Yeah.
So like all
It,
the Warner Brothers content is going to HBO Max, and
yeah.
like I said, I own most of those movies. So and I own Friends digitally, I own The
Yeah.
Office digitally. Like you're not going to get me on these. So it's really got to be like original content. Like Lost in Space is what kept me from canceling my Netflix subscription a couple months ago. It
Yeah.
was like, oh, there's 2 seasons of that. Well, that sounds great. Like I'll watch that. I mean, The Witcher
But
was the one that really saved it for me.
uh-huh. Even like the rights issue is still very confusing because like what do you call it? NBC released show Parks and Rec is on Peacock, Netflix, and Hulu, and I'm like, huh? What's going on? What is happening right now? I have zero idea. So I don't
I
know
don't
what the
know.
future is for that, but yeah, I would assume a TV show would be there, and we do know that Dominion will be premiering exclusively on Peacock when it comes to television or whatever, whatever that's
Like
considered.
whatever streaming app it is.
Not
I mean,
not not from like theaters, not like skipping theaters, but after the theaters, it will come directly to Peacock.
but like again, that doesn't get me because for me, it's premiering on a 4K Blu-ray in my house. Like,
Yeah,
so,
yeah, yeah.
it's not premiering on a streaming
It
service for me.
Yeah, Peacock's a really interesting service because like I logged in and I have access, I guess, early because of my cable provider and stuff like that with Comcast, and it's just a strange service right now. So I don't know what
Hmm.
the plan is, but I'm interested to see more Jurassic stuff on there. But yeah, and like we said, the future, whatever this new era is, um, yeah, there's nothing to really discuss about the new era. I don't think
No, it's just exciting to know that it's gonna keep going.
it's there. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's confirmation. So should we move into our other topic here? And then we do have, I think there was some more Facebook questions, right? If we wanted to tackle them after. Um, but yeah, so this one might take a little while. We'll see. This is Camp
Yeah.
Cretaceous.
Let's talk about Camp Cretaceous.
so can so this is interesting. I think we've known about Camp Cretaceous for a while. I should probably bring up that
Can we bring up
synopsis. Uh, what was it? Press release? Yeah. Is that what you wanted,
yeah,
or the original image?
do you have the original image with the kids in front of the gate?
I don't have it on me, no, but
Okay, then don't worry because I know you spent time like cropping stuff, so don't worry.
well, I do
I'll just
have let's see, there's no like, okay, here it is. Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous follows a group of 6 teenagers chosen for a once-in-a-lifetime experience at a new adventure camp on the opposite side of Isla Nublar. But when the dinosaurs wreak havoc across the island, the campers are stranded. Unable to find the outside world, they'll need to go from strangers to friends to family if they're going to survive. So that is Camp Cretaceous, the plot summary there. And we have heard that I guess this is going to be coming out in August, but that was before all of this, so who really knows?
I think they can still
Apparently,
go.
production is still ongoing. I think
Yeah.
it was recently revealed that it was going on in like I don't quote me, but like Taiwan or something like that, and they're doing the artwork or something out there. I have no clue, but
I mean, sure, Taiwan actually had really good COVID-19 response.
mhm,
And I mean, at this stage, they've got to be in the, they're still just trucking along, I'm sure, on episodes. So, but it's all easily done. I don't want to say easily done, but I'm sure it can all be done in a work from home situation if they had to. But again, Taiwan had a great COVID-19 response. So,
mhm.
they might actually be all up and running in a studio out there.
Yeah, I I have the image here. I'm not throwing it up in the video just yet, but you do see these 6 teenagers there in front of the massive gate that says Camp Cretaceous. You've all seen it, with the red font, which is good. It's kind of, it's actually got that same logo in the center of the gate that the Jurassic World Dominion logo so far it has been revealed as. You know,
Right.
the red with the black and the yellow around it. Now the logo outside of that is it's not great. But this is all besides the point. We'll get to this a little bit more, I think. But where should we start? We should start with let's start with the release of these images, I guess. This
Yeah,
at
because that's what
least
everyone's talking about. I think that's like what people want to kind of hear about.
yeah, I guess this mostly I don't know where this originated. I found it originally on Paddock 9. So you somebody out there tracked it down to, let's see. They tracked down you'll see it in the video, a box for the ever so lovely little character we have known as Bumpy. This is an Ankylosaurus, a young Ankylosaurus. Very, very cute, I have to say. I did see this toy directly, held it in my hands at New York Toy Fair, but this is a packaged image that we have up on the screen right now, and this, like I said, it came from Paddock 9, so you can find that Facebook group on Facebook. But so I don't know a lot of details as to where this was found, how it became obtained, but we have Bumpy in a package that is, it's kind of a take on the what do you call it, the Primal Attack box. If you look at the bottom part where it says Ankylosaurus Bumpy, it actually looks a lot like the Primal Attack stuff. But
I
there's
don't think I have this image, but
um
I'll just trust you on it.
okay. Well, let me I'll send this to you somewhere.
Do you send it to me in Slack?
Yes.
Okay.
But the image itself, it's I don't love the packaging. I really don't love the way that this camp, and I mentioned it before, the Camp Cretaceous logo and everything. I don't love the way that it looks. Now it's the same. It looks to be the same logo that is on the fence itself. So when you look at the fence, it does look to be very similar, maybe a little oversaturated on the box art, but it's got that standard kind of Jurassic style font choice, whatever you would call it.
I
just don't.
I don't know. I'm sorry. I can't get this image.
I sent it to you online, but it's very.
I know, like
it's very
not
ugly.
loading.
It's got like this, what looks to be like a wood backdrop. The Jurassic World logo itself is different. It's changed up a bit. Oh gosh, it's just not very good looking in my eyes. And the Camp Cretaceous logo, which is this is something that Jurassic logos have been doing a lot in the past several years, is they're not really making their own logo per se. They're just kind of subtitling, and that's something that
Right.
it doesn't necessarily look all that good in my eyes, is when you just like subtitle the Jurassic World logo. Now, yes, like I did say, the Jurassic World logo itself is a bit changed, just color-wise, and the backdrop behind the T-Rex. But I don't like that subtitled logo style, I guess you could say. I just really am not into that. I don't know what you think, at least.
Oh, here, finally, I got it. Yeah, it's like, so here's the thing with the Jurassic World. Yeah, and it's weird, just Camp Cretaceous just slapped at the bottom. Like Dominion, or not Dominion, Fallen Kingdom came up with a style of subtitles that I feel like we should be sticking with. I didn't love that way that they did it, but they did it, and so why wouldn't we carry that through with there's the font, I don't know what it's called, but like there is a specific font that we should be using for subtitles at this point.
Oh yeah.
I don't, it's the font that says Ankylosaurus Bumpy, like at the bottom of this package. Like that's the font that should be saying Camp Cretaceous. It should be up with the Jurassic World banner. And then what they're doing with the logo is when we designed the logo for the podcast that we currently have, I set it up so that I can go in on the fly and just change the colors like in 2 seconds, and a secondary color like comes up, and like
that's what's done here, right? Like
I feel like that's what's being done here, and it's like yeah, it just doesn't look great. Like they've got this red. It's this like not amber. It's like this burnt wood backdrop with like
Uh-huh.
this hot looking words, and then we've got this cold white T Rex skeleton.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
why? It's so weird. It's so off putting. Um, and then yeah, there's the dinosaurs at the bottom, and Bumpy. I'll get one of these, but this this is like when the animated Star Wars stuff was out. There was a brief time where I was into Star Wars toys because I think the ships are like phenomenal in toy form.
Uh-huh.
But like during, I want to say the toy company was celebrating an Empire Strikes Back anniversary, which we're at again. They were celebrating an Empire Strikes Back anniversary,
Yeah.
and they were celebrating, and they were also currently running Clone Wars. And it was like they had the two together on the shelf, and I had bought like figures because I didn't know any better. I
Yeah.
just bought like whatever was there because I just wanted something for my desk when I started work. And I was like, wait, one of these is like animated and one is like semi-real. And I was like, these, yeah, you could play with these together, but I'm a little too like
Yeah.
I'm a little too, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm a little too like obsessive compulsive to
Yeah.
like ever have these characters play together.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what this Bumpy figure is to me. It's like,
Uh-huh.
yeah, it's cute, but it's not going to look good next to the Ankylosaurs that I already have.
No.
So no,
I
I
mean,
guess I
here,
don't
yeah,
know.
I 100% agree with you. I think Bumpy is awesome looking. I love the way Bumpy looks, like on its own. I love Bumpy. I'll probably get
Yes.
a
Oh, okay.
few of
Yeah, I
them.
should say that.
Um,
As it
but
on its own, it looks great.
but when you line it up next to that Ankylosaurus, the one that we currently have, I think there's like a few out there, right? But
I have two. Yeah.
it it does not match up at all whatsoever. Size wise, that head is actually bigger than the Ankylosaurus head on the other ones, the adult full grown
Right.
Ankylosaurus. And it just the size and everything, this feels animated. And then, of course, so we talked about the logo. It just doesn't really look good. I don't know why it's so far down. Like you said, it would have been better just to have it smaller underneath Jurassic World logo. But
Right.
this is this issue that we're kind of in right now is like they want to say this is for our new TV show, Camp Cretaceous, which you actually can, at least in this image, you can't really read what it says very well because the package is kind of over the word camp and it just looks like chimp or like,
I mean,
I
look,
don't even know what it says,
I don't
but
I don't mean to toot our own horn here, but the way that we have the word podcast in with the Jurassic Park banner, it's big, it's oversized, it's bold. But the
uh,
logo itself is just the Jurassic Park logo. That's it.
yeah.
And then it's like when Fallen Kingdom came out and they put in tiny little letters Fallen Kingdom, and then like for whatever reason they decided to resize Jurassic Park so they could fit everything within that banner. I was like, "Oh, that's a choice."
Hmm.
Um to like off center the main font within the banner. Like, and I mean off center up and down. This is like another, I'm like, "Oh, that's a choice."
This is honestly, this is not even a choice. It's literally just a logo with words underneath it. And it's not even like, it doesn't look good like Jurassic World Live Tours does or Jurassic World Evolution.
Yes,
Like those
100%.
are
Yeah,
those two look the same comparatively. And then this is just like somebody just decided, let me just write it underneath and it just doesn't look good whatsoever. You do
right.
also have the Netflix badge up in the top corner. It says Netflix, a Netflix original series with the
Yep.
logo, and you do see Mattel logo on the bottom. You see these several characters here, and I forget where it was, and I don't believe it was in that. Oh man, it wasn't in that thing that I read, but I remember there was a character revealed. Oh, I'm blanking on the character's name right now. You're all probably like saying, "Yeah, his name is something."
Well, so down in this image, you've got the Mother of
What's his
Dragons,
name?
or I'm saying Betty Cooper from Riverdale. You got Reggie animated from Riverdale. You got Mean Scooby Doo, and then you got the Miles Morales model without any of its
It does.
shading.
It does look a lot like that.
Yeah,
What is? Ah,
it's
I'm
mean. It's
really
Mean
blanking.
Scooby and the gang.
Look, I'm not opposed to it. I actually think these character models for my liking are better than I assumed. I mean, I didn't really know based off the image that was released. Let's see, I don't know if I have that up here, but based off that image that was released initially, I kind of thought these characters would look a bit more over. I don't know, like just more cartoony, I guess. These do look more like real humans to me. I kind of thought they would look less human, like
Yeah,
odd proportions and stuff like that. But no, these
yeah.
are pretty natural looking humans, just in the cartoony form.
Yeah, when I saw these, so I saw these kids for the first time actually today as we're recording it. I was like, well, wait, but those aren't the kids that we were introduced to in the original key art. And so there's controversy, of course, today, that whether or not you think the show is going to be good based on these character models. And it's like,
Uh
well, the character models have nothing to do with whether or not the show is good. They have to do with whether or not the art is good, or appealing, I guess. But my first reaction was not one of like, oh, I like this or I don't like this. My first reaction was, wait, but this wasn't what we were shown. Like, so like
yeah,
we've been
it
talking about Camp Cretaceous. We have, dude, you and I have done deep dives at least twice on these characters that they showed us in the original poster, and then those characters aren't in existence. Like, if
I
you
don't
look
know
at
if
the
they. Let's see. Yeah, you're right, cuz like the the models that are represented in that poster just don't look all that much like. I'm trying to blow it up here so I can see it a little bit bigger, but I have the poster here. I can see this girl with the pink hair.
okay,
So
so
she's there,
pink hair survived.
but
Um,
the clothes and everything are completely different. And usually on animated series, nobody ever changes. Like everybody's pretty much in the same clothes. Um,
right.
so you have
So
that. So I have these three characters that are up on the screen, which come
I'm gonna
from
move out
like
of
a
frame real
little.
quick because I just want to get a close look at this real fast.
Yeah, so there's like a pamphlet that you can actually see behind the package of Bumpy. You see behind Bumpy, there's like a little pamphlet in there, and I'll show you in a second. But it's got Toro, the Carnotaurus, on there. So this dinosaur is named, and we will be getting a toy that was showcased at Toy Fair as well. So it's just another Carnotaurus. So we already have the Command and Conquer Carnotaurus, which is pretty darn cool. It is. I feel like it is a more cartoony version of the Carnotaurus. But then you have another one coming, which is Toro, which you can see in the picture, and he has like a massive scar down the nose. Pretty cool. And then
Yeah,
you have
pretty
the
cool.
three characters on there. Oh man, I've been trying to think of this. Darius. That's the character's name. Darius. So Darius here is the boy in the middle, and then I don't know the other two characters' names. But yeah, so go ahead.
I want to point out I'm looking at this now. I feel I'm looking at these original key art kids. This group of kids is not diverse in any way. They are all white kids. So I
Are they?
feel like, yes, every single one. So if you
Kind of.
look at
Yeah,
basically
maybe.
arm tones and leg tones on all these original kids, they're all white kids. And I feel like there was a meeting and they were like, what are you doing? And like, I'm a big proponent of diversity. I'm not a huge proponent of diversity for diversity's sake, but it is not realistic to me that you would go on vacation here and only be with like one race of people. So like, I'm cool because like if you look at, like I said, when I was like, oh, this is like Betty Cooper, and then you got freaking Reggie from Riverdale. Like that's a super diverse cast, and it's realistic in that sense. I feel like there was definitely like a call to be like, hey, let's diversify this cast a little bit more. Um, and like that's great. Again, I was just even surprised that like these kids don't even look like the same style as the original key art. The original
No.
key art kind of looks like the kid on the very left of the original key art looks like a 1950s like Archie comics, like
Yeah,
with
he's
the
got a
big boy,
briefcase
yeah,
and the
and
big boy hair. Yeah.
with the big boy hair, and like so I'm just like, what, like that's kind of what I was expecting the kids to kind of look like, and now we're
Yeah,
getting
very over exaggerated features and stuff like that.
right,
Like
yeah,
some of them have like extremely skinny legs, the proportions are very odd, like very lanky and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, comparatively, like maybe this kid in the middle could be Darius, which I'm assuming is his name. Um, but the other kid, the kid on the left, maybe that's the kid on the left on the poster. I don't know, but it doesn't really look like it. And then the girl with the pink hair, yeah,
I
she
mean, she
is on the
survived.
poster, but she's there. But very the model could be different, and this is something that we should point out as well because one of the creators here, I believe he's a producer on the show, Zach Stentz. He responded to a post by Chris Pugh, and Chris was talking about he's gonna love Bumpy, and Zach's like, I guarantee it. Also, I know some people are griping about the designs for the kids, but A, those are for the toy box, not the final designs, and B, the slightly stylized kids and ultra realistic dinos actually do blend well together on screen. Trust me. So there's a chance that what we see in the original image is more of the actual renderers or stuff like that. You don't think so? Um,
No, I
and
think at
there's a
this
chance that
stage, when
this
someone
is
says these aren't final, um, they mean like literally we've done maybe some lighting adjustments. Like I think what you're seeing in those on those toy boxes, I think those are the character models, 100%. I think maybe they've gotten some maybe more in-depth textures, but like yeah, I don't think we're getting these kids from the original poster at all. I think we're getting the kids that you see on that toy
hmm.
box, and I think they probably don't have as strong of lighting as there might be in the final show. And I
So
saw
I
people
mean,
being like, "Oh, the animation looks terrible." Well, this still image is not animated. Animation is movement, so we don't know what the animation is
for
going to look
sure.
like. I think Chris Pugh did make a good point that to him, like Star Wars, when you just look at a still frame of a Star Wars animated series, like it's nothing that he's like super drawn to. And I agree. Like when I look at the Star Wars animated stuff, I'm not drawn to that style. Um, so again, we
Yeah,
just gotta kind of wait to see what we're presented with.
I know he's been sharing a picture of Rebels pretty often, saying like he doesn't like that, and I'm like, I love that. I don't know what you're talking about. Stop saying that's bad because it's not bad. I think it looks pretty darn cool, especially
No,
in
it's just
motion.
style. It's
Especially
just
in motion,
styled
it's a
specifically.
style. It's a stylistic choice, and I think what were we? We were having a conversation. Oh, I think it was me, you, and Tom. We're talking about like um, the T Rex and stuff like that, and how it's kind of it's the artist's choice to take that route, and whether you like it or not, or whether it blends well or not, it's the artist's choice, and that's the case here. Could be the case here. Um, from what we've seen, at least from the dinosaur, we've only seen the one dinosaur and Bumpy, I guess. We
Right.
saw what seems to be Echo, or is it Charlie? Charlie, right? Yeah, it was Charlie. Um, I mean,
Was it?
maybe it looks like Charlie. It looks exactly like
Yeah.
Charlie, but that dinosaur looked pretty comparatively like exactly like the movie for the most part. Like, so it's really not that far off. So Zach was saying that these two blend well, like the ultra realistic dinos blend well together with the slightly stylized kids. So
Oh,
this, what
I
is the
think these
slightly
models for
stylized?
these, I think for the carnivores, like the raptors and the carnotaurs, I think those models are not exclusive to Camp Cretaceous. I think the models are from ILM for the Jurassic franchise. I think Bumpy is obviously an exclusive model.
Mhm.
Um, but like if I'm looking at this Carnotaur, that Carnotaur looks exactly
Yeah,
model
it
wise,
really does.
just the model. It is the ILM model. It's got a different coloration.
Mhm.
The shaders on it are not as advanced as what you're going to see in the movie. Looks like there's maybe like a standard animation layers on this. There's no like subsurface scatter, which if you're into CG, you kind of know that's like the way like light interacts with skin and all that stuff. But like the model itself, the one-to-one grayscale, I think this is the one from Fallen Kingdom. So I don't think that they're designing new dinosaurs, or I don't think they're designing dinosaurs we've seen. Like, I don't think they're going back to the drawing board and stylizing them. I think the style comes from the new
Yeah.
textures for the most part.
And I mean, as far as we can tell, we're basing this off of like a few images here and there, but the background art and the landscape style that we saw in the trailer and the promo image that was released, they look pretty real. And it kind of brings me back to like The Good Dinosaur per se. Like, I know a lot of people didn't really care for that movie, but the style of that movie was ultra
Yeah,
stylized dinosaur and human character, but the background and the landscape and everything was legit, looked real. Like it wasn't,
photoreal.
but
Yeah.
it looked photo real, and I think that worked really well for me. I loved that kind of blending of the two. I think this could be fine here. We could look at what Universal and DreamWorks did also on Netflix with the Fast and Furious show, and they are kind of the same, I would assume, as this. I mean, I have not watched that show. I have heard it was not very good, but at
It's too
least from
bad.
the images that I've Googled, they do look very similar to what we see on this box art. So they do look a little stylized, and proportions seem fine. They don't seem out of proportion or anything. So I think it's just a little bit stylized, but I think it's going to work fine. I don't think we really have to worry about any of that. And also, what were you expecting? Like, it's not. It's not
We
like
knew we were
it's
getting an
not a
animated
C.
show.
It's an animated show. It's not like a CG rendered TV show or something like that, where it's like, like you're watching like Avatar or something, like where it's like, completely fake landscapes at some, points. This is animated, and you can, at least for me, I can buy an animated world and a real world are part of the same universe. I know a lot of people have a problem with
Oh
that,
yeah,
like for
yeah. I don't
Star
have a
Wars, for
problem with
instance.
that. Yeah, that doesn't.
Some people
Me.
really can't like say like, oh, I don't watch the animated stuff. It's not real. Like I don't get that, because it's still a great story, and sometimes, especially in Star Wars, some of the best Star Wars comes from the animated material.
I mean, I don't
So
necessarily want to see like a character from Rebels walk into a live action with like the stylized deformations like in their face and stuff. But like, I mean, I don't. You were telling me at one point that like in Episode 9's trailer there was a ship
uh
from Rebels, right?
yeah.
Okay, so like to me, it's like that's great. The ship doesn't look fake or animated. I mean, it is fake and animated, but like it doesn't look cartoonish. They like made it look photoreal,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So like that's fine. But like, yeah, I can totally buy that. Like, hey, we're gonna tell you this story, and this story is animated. Hey, and then we're gonna tell you this story, and this story is a crappy motion comic on the website, and then we're gonna tell you this story, and it's live action.
uh,
We're gonna tell you this story, and it's black and white comics. Like that to me, canon, right? If you want to say these are all exist in the same world, I buy that. I don't
yeah.
want the two styles mixed necessarily. But I think this looks fine. I don't think, again, my reaction today was not that this looks bad or this looks great. It was, wait, this is different than what I was shown. And maybe that's what was throwing people today. I agree with you. Anybody that was like saw this today was like, oh, like I've seen people, oh, this looks terrible. Like doesn't look like anything. It looks like animated kids with a dinosaur. Like I don't know what people I don't know
Yeah.
what people were expecting.
Yeah, I'm going back and forth because there are other kids as well. I don't know. I think they were on maybe like the back of the pack. I don't have that image um in front of me, but there are other kids as well. And there's maybe, yeah, I'm trying to compare them to the other image, and they just don't really seem to line up at all. So I think you're right. I think there was like a pretty major change here. None of these characters have blonde hair, as far as like uh, the male character in the center of this picture, the original poster. There's like a like a
Right.
surfer looking dude, kind of. He looks like you just walked off the beach, and he's got surfer hair. I don't know. That's the best way to describe it. But that kid does not exist in this toy box art stuff. So I don't know. I don't know. But I think it looks fine. I don't know what the big outrage and outcry about it is. It's animated. It's gonna look animated, and that's great,
Yeah.
because you mentioned Miles Morales. There's a kind of a comparison there, but like that Spider-Man movie is thought to be one of the best Spider-Man movies, if not the best ever made.
Right.
So what's the problem? Like, what is the problem? I just
Oh,
watched the Clone
I
Wars
don't have a
wrap
problem
up,
with
and
that.
it's
To
the
me,
best
it
Star
literally looks
Wars.
like they copied and pasted the model from one file to, like, another, that's all. Um,
um, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think it looks great. Like I think everything looks pretty good. Except for like I'm saying about the box art itself. I'm not really into that. I think there's a blend here. It's like I said, it's got the primal attack stuff on the bottom with the characters overlaid, and then you have this very odd logo, which I just don't agree with. I think that's bad. But the thing that I do really, really love is if you actually get a look at the, let me bring that back up on the slideshow. Um, if you get a look at the image behind all of this mess, behind Bumpy, behind the card that was inserted in there, the pamphlet, there's actually a really, really great piece of art back there. And it's got very, very tall redwood style trees, tons
yeah,
of
buddy,
ferns,
with the
and
tree houses.
the tree houses. There's a big there, you can barely see, but there's a big building on the left hand or right hand side, so like kind of like maybe where they all go to for this camp or something like that. And then those bungalows like up in the trees, those like that's amazing. Like that art style is
Yeah,
fantastic, and if that is what we're going to get out of a new part of this park, I am I'm ready to watch that right now. Like I am dying
100%.
to see more of this park. And despite what you think about these characters, I think this is a show to really build out this universe, and I am very, very excited to see what it is. Like I
The
can't wait to
humans,
see.
I don't know how many times I gotta say it, the humans are always a very small fraction of what makes up Jurassic, right? A lot of it is about the environments that they're in and the vehicles that they interact with and the dinosaurs they interact with. So,
Hmm.
if the humans, if it comes out and the humans aren't necessarily my cup of tea, then I'm sure there will be something else there for me. I still plan on waking up that first day, and hopefully it's like a Saturday, and I plan on getting online with, you and a couple other people, and maybe just, watching and chatting about it. Like, I'll be there day one,
Yeah.
100%.
The bad thing for us is that it'll probably debut at 3 a.m. for us, and it'll debut at midnight for everybody else. So I guess we'll be watching the whole series at 3 a.m. We got to adjust our sleep schedules for, and then we'll podcast straight through it. I don't know, but I do love that box art behind everything. Everything else behind there looks fantastic, and that art style
Yep.
looks really, really cool. And if we see that in the show, I will be, over the moon. I think it's going to be great. This next part, which is actually that thing that was included behind Bumpy. So we had Bumpy, and then behind him you have this pamphlet, and then inside the pamphlet you have a maze. There's like a little cartoony maze, and like the
Mm.
Jurassic Park gates or Jurassic World gates, I can't tell. And then a
Now,
little sticker book. Like there's a little pad full of stickers. So it's like I'm kind of confused because like I don't really know what's going on here. I know Zach, producer on the show, mentioned that this is it's not what you're seeing. It's a little bit different than that. Trust me. And then this pad in here is like for 2.5-year-olds. Like my son would love this. So what is the demographic here? I'm a little confused by the demographic.
I
Do you
mean,
have that picture?
I think this show is gonna skew for 4-year-olds and up. Like,
You think so?
oh yeah, like, look at Bumpy, man. Like, he doesn't
Hmm.
look real. He's hyper animated, plushy, like, this is gonna skew for, like, my nephew, I think. And so everyone's like, "Oh, it can still be brutal," and I'm like, "I don't think it's going to be." Like, I think it's gonna be as brutal as maybe The Land Before Time, which in hindsight isn't all that crazy. Like, they don't, like, eat the kid dinosaurs in Land Before Time. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's none of that.
No.
So, like, they're not gonna show I don't think this is gonna skew for a young adult. I think this is gonna skew for kids,
Yeah.
similar to Lego. And I think that if you're
Hmm.
wanting
See,
that brutality, I think you're just gonna have to hang in there a little bit longer before you get it.
because that's my problem right there. As you mentioned, Lego, like that demographic's kind of taken already. So I would like it to skew up a little bit.
Well,
Now
me
I
too.
can't.
I fully
I
agree.
I don't mean 34 or however old I am. I mean, like, in the teens or whatever, like something that is, not for 2.5-year-olds. Now, I can't say, don't like literally say that just because there's this little sticker book and maze in there literally means that this is for 2.5-year-olds.
No, no,
But
no, no. I
it
mean,
just,
it's a
it,
toy,
it,
but
it worried me right off the bat. I was like, oh boy, what is this for? Like literally tiny kids that already have a show. But
I mean,
I'm totally, don't get me wrong, I'm totally for more content for kids because this series is a family series at heart, and that's why I've always wanted this to be a family show, because I feel like this is a show that like, or and a series that like kids should
100%.
enjoy. It's not made for me anymore particularly. It's made for all the kids out there, and I was 6 years old when I watched this, so like that's who it should be for. So that's really what I want this for, is like 6 to like teenagers or something like that. And we've been talking all about Star Wars, and this always happens, but like all those shows too, they start off in a certain demographic. Like Clone Wars definitely started off in this demographic where it like skewed younger, and then by the end, certainly by the end, that literally just wrapped up, that skews much older. And then same thing happened for
Right
Rebels.
now.
Like that show, yeah, that show Rebels starts off real young, like kind of, on the much younger side, and skewed pretty old by the end of it. I'd say like there's some really dramatic stuff by the end. They also did release another show, Star Wars Resistance, which really didn't change its demographic. It was kind of made for young kids, ended up
Is
for
that
young
still
kids.
going?
No, they just kind of ended it
It
short.
fizzled out,
It
right?
just
Yeah.
Yeah, they just cut it off at like 2 seasons. It was supposed to go like 4, but they just decided to, you know what, we're done. So, um, it's interesting, and I don't know. I'm at that point right now with my kid where I'm like, I really want to show him the Jurassic movies, but at the same time, I'm like, he's definitely too young for these movies. And we've
Well,
watched through all the Lego stuff, and he loves all that stuff. That stuff's great, but I think this is something I could definitely watch with him. I don't think it's not going to be violent like the movies are, but I think it'll be tense. I think it'll be tense probably at best.
it's a placeholder for your kid. Like, I'm kind of in that mode with like my nephew, and I think my brother-in-law has been like kind of sneaking like clips to him or whatever like that. But
Hmm.
like Jurassic Park, I was talking to Jack Ewens today, and he said he saw Jurassic Park for the first time at like 4. And I was like, "How
Yeah.
did you sleep at 4 years old after watching that?" Like, there's just no way. Like, for
Yeah.
me at 4 or 5 years old, like E.T. and Indiana Jones where like they grabbed the heart, that was terrifying to me as a child. Like, I didn't
Yeah.
rewatch E.T. until I was like in college because it
Really?
terrified me. Oh yeah. So I saw
Yeah.
E.T. like I have very vivid memories of my family on the couch and me hiding behind them on the couch, like wedging myself between them and the couch because
Yeah.
ET screaming at the beginning was terrifying. ET,
Ah.
yeah,
Yeah.
ET white and dying is
Oh,
terrifying.
that is
And
still
then
terrifying, man. That is
it
horrifying.
it's all horrifying. And so I have vivid
Yeah.
memories of that. And then I didn't watch ET again until I got the 2 DVD set where you got the
Uh-huh.
2003 and the 83 version together. And I was like in college when I finally sat down to watch ET in its entirety. And the
Mhm.
same with Indiana Jones. I was at a sleepover as a kid, and all I remember from that is, Kaliman, like, especially like kids don't really know. Movies on VHS on a tube TV are 30% more terrifying than they
Yeah,
are
yeah.
in high definition. So,
For sure, for
like,
sure.
so I remember being terrified by that and then not watching Indiana Jones again until again I was like in
Okay.
college. So
Okay.
I can't imagine like you showing your kid Jurassic Park right now. Like I get it, like as an you want to share that with them, but I would almost like, for you or like any parent out there, it's like
Yeah.
wait until your kid is is old enough to like start like really like collecting those
Com
memories and really holding on to
comprehending
those
and
memories because I think Jurassic is so important. It's the same thing with like Star Wars, right? Like I would I would hope that like parents, I get it, parents are super excited because they want to share it with their kids, but you also want your kid to remember that first time too.
I
So
know, I know. It's impossible, man. I've been saying this for years that like I need to introduce my kid at the right time. I want him to feel impacted by these movies and Star Wars, specifically. because of the whole like reveal, and that's everybody's question is how do you watch, what order do you watch those movies?
Originals
And
first.
but here's the thing, and it's gonna really really disappoint everybody. I just last night, it was the 40th anniversary of Empire Strikes Back. That was the first movie I ever put on for him, as far as Star Wars is concerned.
The worst. The worst.
Now, granted, we did not get to the end, so he does not know the whole reveal. He didn't see that part. But I, for years, and all this stuff, even before he was born, I'm like, oh my God, when do I show him that? But even stuff like Toy Story, which he watches constantly, ruins the reveal of Darth Vader. So what are you gonna do? That impact is no longer there because he'll be like, oh, I remember that from Toy Story, and I'm like, no, that's not how it works.
What did you do?
but yeah, we watched part of Empire, and then today we watched a part of A New Hope, and yeah, he can't really sit still through a whole thing for some new movies.
Sure.
Actually, E.T., we watch E.T. constantly. We watch Ghostbusters constantly, and he is not afraid of he ain't afraid of no ghosts, is what it comes down to.
Hey, that's all right.
Or ETs. And now here's very questionable stuff going on. I also put on Signs the other day.
What are you doing over there? What are you doing?
I don't know, man. I put on Signs. I'm like, I love this movie. It's not all that scary. And he's like, we were talking about aliens, so he was like into aliens for that movie.
Just get him like Poltergeist, Candyman.
I might
Get him,
step,
some
yeah.
Aliens. Get him Alien.
I might step in there.
Man.
I might step in there, but I've not watched Jurassic with him yet because I feel like that's going to be too violent. But we have watched the Brachiosaurus scene and the sick Triceratops. So then I thought to myself, oh no, I've ruined the moment where the Brachiosaurus shows up for the first time, and that's the first time you see a dinosaur. Like. But whatever. It is what it is. I don't think you. In the age of like memes and constant content online and videos here and there and compilations of everything, it's kind of hard to escape all this imagery and dialogue and reveals and stuff like that. So yeah. I don't know, but what are we even talking about anymore?
I don't know. This got very skewed away from Jurassic Park.
It did, but I don't know. The age demographic, I guess, for Camp Cretaceous.
Sure.
This, I would totally feel comfortable, at least knowing absolutely nothing about this. I would feel comfortable showing this to him, is what it comes down to.
Watch it be the most violent animated series ever created.
I mean, that would be great. And I did ask that question to a group of people. I thought, Rebels, which, Star Wars Rebels, which, if you want to point out that you don't like the way it looks, sure. But when it comes down to it, like I said, it skewed really young, but then it became some of the best Star Wars there is ever. I'm comfortable enough to admit that has some of the best Star Wars you'll ever see anywhere. Yeah. I don't know. I don't really know what to assume from Camp Cretaceous. Will this contain some of the best Jurassic that we've ever seen? I don't know.
Man, I mean, I feel like I think it's a safe guess to say no.
I kind of side with that too. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to tell right now, obviously, but I'm skewing no as well.
I'm skewing towards not that their age demographic will be the same, but I'm skewing towards when I'm done with Camp Cretaceous, I feel about Camp Cretaceous the way I feel about the Lego stuff, which is, yeah, they exist, and it happened, and maybe one day I'll go back to it, but I don't know. I think this is, for me, my best guess is this is probably going to be a one and done kind of thing, and who knows? Again, prove me wrong. That's exactly all I want throughout this whole series. All of Jurassic, just prove me wrong. Take the negative feelings that I have and just banish them, so.
Yeah, and I think this show is set up for multiple seasons, so what I need from them, and what I need from Colin or whoever it is to say that this matters. I don't need anybody to say that this is soft canon or canon 100%. Adjacent or whatever. This needs to matter, and if somebody says that it's soft canon, it goes right in that column that you just brought up. The fact that the Lego stuff, I watched it all the other day in one day, and then I forgot all about it. I have no clue I don't remember what happens anywhere. It's fine. It's fun. It's very fun to watch. It's a great series, but ultimately it doesn't matter. And that's sad to say because there's a lot of hard work and creation, and I think some of the creation that went into that, like the jokes and the Easter eggs and all that stuff, is top notch. Like you cannot get better. The way that they understand this series is maybe better than anybody else, to be honest. I think the
Right.
way that they understand all the comedy and the jokes and the Easter eggs and all that, it's perfect. But at the end of the day, it's not canon, so it
Well,
doesn't stay for me. It doesn't like
and
sit there.
that's why Jurassic World Live Tour is it's like tragic, right? Because I remember
Hmm.
talking, I remember seeing that show. I remember at the end talking to the directors or the writers and being like, you have created some of the best Jurassic content since The Lost World. Like,
Yeah.
hands down, that story, whether or not you agree with the style or the actor's portrayal of characters, the story itself is one of the
Yeah.
best pieces of Jurassic content we've had, or at least one of the most original. But as soon as Trevorrow is like, well, we have this thing called soft canon, it's like,
Mm.
oh, it's so
Yeah.
deflating. Like,
Yeah.
you just
Really.
want the stuff to matter. And I know there's people out there who are like, oh, you don't need canon. And it's like, but as a kid, man, I thrived. I've told you this before. I just wanted that man on that collector card shooting that pteranodon to matter, but it didn't matter until Trevorrow made it matter
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
Lost World, in Jurassic World, right? So like there all that extra stuff that we had as kids, I wish, it was like, oh, the bad elements of the comics, sure, great. This doesn't canon, so none of that stuff counts. But there were great elements surrounding Jurassic Park in the 90s and none of it mattered because as soon as The Lost World came out, it stepped on all of that. And then
Hmm.
as soon as Jurassic Park 3 came out, it stepped on all of that. And it was like, why doesn't this stuff that I invest time into, why doesn't it matter towards the thing I love? And I think I'm still craving that 25, 26 years later.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
And I mean, we've made this argument time and time again, but at the end of the day, we always conclude with like, it's a mess. It doesn't matter. Like, it is what it is. Like, if this ends up not being canon, maybe it'll have more of an impact on us because it's it's more in line with the real world than Lego is. Um,
Sure. Yeah.
and I'm sure I will remember this much more than I do the Lego stuff. And I think, despite what we were saying, like, will it have an impact? Will it be some of the best Jurassic we've ever seen? I think there's still a chance. I think there's a slim chance. I mean, you just said it right there, and I was going to bring that up actually as well. Jurassic World Live Tour. It's some of the best Jurassic there is, and they did it in a medium that is not film
Traditional
whatsoever.
at all. Yeah.
It's not. Yeah, it's not a traditional medium. So what they did there in front of us on a stage, what, like you said, and you almost described this show exactly, our exact conversation is whether you agree with the style of the show, whether you agree with the acting choices or whatever, it was still a great story. So I think there's that
Right.
optimism there that this, despite what you think about this art and the way it looks, it could be one of the best Jurassics we have. So I'm trying to be optimistic about it. I have no reason
Yeah.
to not be.
Yeah.
And I know, Star Wars and stuff subverts your expectations when it comes to animated content. So I don't expect any different. The only thing that is concerning is the fact that, like, the Fast and Furious franchise show, which is also animated, also on Netflix, also by DreamWorks, it was not really reviewed very well. So here's hoping that maybe this is taken a little bit more seriously than Fast and Furious. I don't know.
Hopefully, I'm down for those tree houses though. So
Yeah. And like we were talking about Jurassic World Live Tour, that was some of the best aspects of that was world building, and that's
yeah.
really what we want. We want to build this world out. And you kind of talked about the stuff from your childhood, the stuff that everything else kind of stepped on its toes and stuff. That's come out recently, or in the past
Or
however
over
many
time,
years.
right? Like,
Over time, yeah.
yeah.
One thing that kind of is potentially making a return here, is we'll see. I mean, we have no clue if this is related whatsoever, but we have the a Carnotaurus here that was kind of really revealed.
Oh yeah, that's
I
on my
know
phone.
I know Jurassic Outpost posted this on Instagram. There wasn't really a lot of context, I don't believe. It just says that it appeared online, and we're unsure of where and when it will go on sale. But we have a clear Carnotaurus. So this is at least the image is showcasing of box art here, which is the same box art as the Control and Conquer
Yeah,
Carnotaurus, and it
which
actually
is
the
weird.
render
It's
on
got
the
the
box.
painted version of it.
Yeah,
So
it has the painted version on there, but the render or whatever this is, I don't know if it's not a render, but it looks like there's a physical toy in there that is clear. And when it comes to clear stuff, I feel like that usually means camouflage, right? That means Indominus Rex. There's a bunch of Indominus Rex toys that they've produced over time that are clear, and that always refers to the fact that that
are
thing
they?
can camouflage. Yeah, they're usually like the mini ones or something like that.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
That
Okay,
that
okay.
are the clear ones. And it's just kind of the fact. I think it's storytelling you that this is invisible. This thing is
Right.
invisible. You can see straight through it. It's not there, but yet it's a white looking toy that's right there.
Yeah.
So is this clear Carnotaurus? Is this legit? Is this a real toy? I mean, it seems to be. It seems to be real. What
But
is this?
why would it be the Command and Conquer Carnotaurus?
See, I don't know. I don't really know what's going on with this image because honestly, the wording looks a little bungled on there. Like it looks like
Okay.
kind of messed up. I don't really know where this is all coming from. So I just thought it would be interesting to bring up because we do know that there's the Carnotaurus Toro in Camp Cretaceous, and we do know that a bunch of the stuff that they revealed at New York Toy Fair is considered part of Camp Cretaceous, and we just saw Bumpy before.
Right. Okay.
So and there has been other characters and stuff, at least as far as we know, that these are really official and really related. But you got Toro, like I said, the other Carnotaurus that was in the image before of the where is that? The kids. You got Toro, you got Bumpy, you've got apparently there's three baryonyx. One's named Limbo, one's
Right.
named one's named Grim, one's named Chaos, and there's also apparently a Parasaurolophus coming up that's kind of listed as bioluminescent. So that
Which
kind
isn't
of has
that
that same.
interesting?
It is. Go ahead.
I don't
Yeah.
want to go
Yeah.
spoilery.
Maybe don't go ahead because I know what you're talking about. But it's a
Interesting.
thing. It's an interesting thing that kind of has an ongoing thing here with Jurassic is this bioluminescent trait that you find in these dinosaurs, and even specifically, you saw it. That was part of the traits of the Indominus Rex. So with the
Was it?
cuttlefish and stuff like that, right?
Oh yeah, yeah,
The
yeah. Okay, yeah.
I believe it was that
Well, I
trait.
thought that
I
was
don't know
more
specifically.
linked to like that was linked more to the camouflage aspect.
Oh, yeah, maybe that was the camouflage, but I think there was some sort of. Oh, I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting it wrong. I don't know, but we've heard about it a lot. And we have this thing, which is this kind of leaning towards bioluminescent dinosaur
This
here. I don't know.
figure? I don't know. Maybe.
We have this same looking Parasaurolophus that is also seems to be clear. Um, that's listed as bioluminescent. So I don't know. Are we going bioluminescent? Are we going camouflage? Are we going back to the Lost World novel with these camouflage dinosaurs like this? Um,
So, in my opinion, that is one of the greatest disservices of anything that's been translated from the books to the movies. It's that they have not done camouflage as a I don't want to say as a story point because the Indominus had camo, but the camo for the Indominus was one shot of oh there's trees and now you start to see the outline of a dinosaur form and then oh it can camouflage and then like all heck breaks loose and it's done and it's over. I would love for the camouflage to be like an actual like story point
mhm.
like
Yeah.
The kids are constantly afraid of Chaos or Toro based on the fact that like they know he can camouflage. They never know where he or she's going to be, and
Mhm.
so I would love for that to be a story thing. I think it's a crime that they've not really brought the camouflaging Carnotaurus specifically uh to film, because I think that's one of the most interesting things that Crichton ever introduced in the entire series, right? It's that like, because when you think of camouflaging reptiles, I think of like very small like chameleons or something, you
Yeah.
know? And to have this giant beast of an animal that can hide in such a way is
Yeah.
absolutely terrifying. And so I wish they would have like focused on it more. And I think that's what everyone is like kind of hoping for, is that this toy happens, and it's a big nod to the Crichton book of the camouflaging Carno. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know there's another moment in Jurassic World where like it's the Ankylosaurus moment where it's kind of camoing in there too, but we never really got like that invisible kind of camo style. I think that you're kind of like referring to in a way, like you
But
want
see,
like a
camo isn't
cloaked.
necessarily visible.
I
It's
know, but yeah, but you want it to blend, and I never really. I always like felt like the Indominus is right there. Like I know what, especially in the beginning where, which kind of plays into this too. It's like you didn't tell me it was white. I'm like, I don't know, that wasn't really camoing, but I guess what is the main color of? Is it just a grayish white for the
I think the
Indominus,
grayish white is the main color of the
and then it
Indominus,
just goes to whatever it wants? But yeah, I would have
right?
loved a different model of that, like in the toy or something, like a camoed version, not an invisible dinosaur, but one that kind of like maybe blended in with the trees or something like that. That would have been really
Like,
cool.
yeah, like a green variant or something. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But this, as far as the camo goes, like I would love a camouflage like that invisible. I know it's two separate things, but like when you're talking about something that is like cloaking itself against the backdrop, like it's essentially invisible at that point. Like you just don't know it's there.
Well,
So
and you're also
that
talking about in animals like DNA in the skin in nature things, and versus toy, like versus plastic, right? Like, how do
yeah.
you achieve that in plastic? The only way to achieve that in plastic is either to have it be one color that's a variant of what you saw on screen, or be clear plastic. Like that's really it.
Yeah, and I think as far as the clear plastic goes, going back to when I was a kid and stuff like that, I think I could very well sit there with a clear plastic toy and be like, this one is not there. You don't see it. Like as
Yeah.
far as I'm playing, I've got my human characters and I'm walking this one, and I'm going with my human characters. I'm like, I don't see anything. There's nothing there. But I'm stomping along this Carnotaurus right up to them, and then it just destroys them. So
Right.
that to
Yeah,
me,
yeah.
it speaks to invisibility in a way, like where it's camouflaging in where they just don't see it.
Right.
So I like that. It's very cloaked. It's very cool. If it's legit, I guess. I would like to see that. But something like this kind of, it doesn't necessarily seem like something you'd see on Target's shelf or Walmart's shelf, right? This seems like an online purchase or
Seems like
something
an
you get from
Entertainment
like
Earth. Yeah, like
Entertainment
exclusive.
Earth or like a comic show or something like that where you have to actually go in person to order the thing. Or it
Yeah.
really seems like a variant that would be there and not in
I
physical
I
retail
don't think you'll
locations.
ever see this on a Walmart shelf ever.
Yeah.
Like I think this is
It
gonna be comic. I wonder if it was a Comic Con thing. I mean, Comic Con got canceled this year, right?
yeah.
So
Yeah, they
I
might
don't
have to
know.
look for a
It's
new
weird.
home or something. Um And last Comic Con we had the John Hammond. Would this be enough? Would this this invisible ish thing be enough? I don't
I,
know.
I would not go ballistic for an exclusive invisible Carnotaur as I
Yeah.
did for the John Hammond. And maybe
Oh
if
no.
this if this was something like that, maybe they kind of learned their lesson. Like, hey, we can do variants. We just can't do a John Hammond level of variant. We got to do
Hmm.
something that people aren't gonna like murder each other for.
I guess. I guess.
Dude,
And when it
I
comes to any kind of exclusive, it doesn't really matter what it is. I don't feel like it's an
oh, for
exclusive.
me, it's a big like, for me, it's important, like,
For
dude,
you,
go
but for
back and listen to the
scalpers,
conversations about that Hammond thing, man. I was not a happy person.
no, no, not at all. But as far as like it'll still be a madhouse probably trying to get this thing if you do so
Sure.
choose to get it.
Yeah.
But I don't
But
know. I mean, is it this could I don't know what this is. I don't know if it has any ties to Camp Cretaceous, but it could be an interesting addition for sure. Um, I don't know.
a deadly addition to Jurassic Park. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's cool. It's nothing that like I'm gonna like actively like. I wouldn't go to Comic Con. I wouldn't pay like an absorbent amount of money for this thing. Like,
No.
I think my first Hammond I paid like $30 for or something. And that was before Entertainment Earth was like, oh, and we're gonna sell you 10 of them at a time for
Yeah.
$10 a pop. But um, yeah, this is something that like if it was an exclusive to like Comic Con, this doesn't make me as angry as Hammond being exclusive to Comic Con, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Yeah, they could always ship it to like a theme park or something too. That could be a cool exclusive for a theme park.
Yeah,
But I think the idea that this could be something maybe we see in Camp Cretaceous would be really, really cool and exciting. Like to see these kids trying to hide from something or Bumpy getting thrown up in the air invisibly would be really cool. I don't know.
now here's the question: is this is there any potential that this is just a like a mold test, or like a not a trial, what's the word I'm looking for,
Yeah, I think a
like a
prototype.
production, like a prototype?
It's very, very possible. That's why I was saying I don't know what this is, and the box art itself isn't really lending us to believe that it's legit.
Right.
Like Conquer is all messed up in the spelling there, and like you pointed out, the full color version is on the bottom of the box. It very well could just be a prototype that somebody put in there, but it looks like a legit, like maybe they were just trying to get like the sizing or something in the prototype pictures or something. I have no idea.
It's not a production still, because the animal is like fallen over in the box. Like they're not gonna like
Oh
professionally
well,
photograph like that.
maybe
Oh,
yeah. But yeah, that control and conquer thing you can position it in any way. But maybe this is a test to see which way they like the actual figure positioned before they painted it. I
I
don't know.
can't imagine that they've got an animal that camouflages and they don't call this thing the camouflaging Carno, or like extreme camo Carno or something. Like there's no way they don't use that alliteration, right?
Yeah.
Command and conquer Carno, right? Like
Which
you
there's too many of those, to be honest. I don't really love the fact that there's so many descriptive terminologies for these, because it just makes it all very confusing for me. I'm like, which one was it? It was the control kick. I don't
because
know.
we're old.
That's true.
When we were kids, it was Dilophosaurus, electronic Dilophosaurus,
Yeah. You remember that? You
Velociraptor,
remember the
electronic
orange one?
Velociraptor. Yeah. Um, yeah, they've gotten super creative with their titling, and I guess that's fine. It stands out, but
Yeah.
yeah,
I
I don't
mean,
know. I don't know really
this.
what's more to say on this one. If it comes out, I'll try to get it. But
Yeah. We
my
do know that
collecting
they're.
is my collecting is changing now that I have a closet full of
Uh-huh.
Mattel stuff. My collecting mentality is changing. Of well, it's not really about getting everything anymore, because we know this is going to go on now for another 5 to 10 years. It's
Mm-hmm,
about
mm-hmm, yeah.
filling my park with what I want. And so like for me,
Mm-hmm,
like when I got the Command and Conquer Carnotaurus, I like that better than the originals. I might start selling off my original Carnotauruses, my original
mm-hmm.
Mattel ones, and using that money to get another Command and Conquer, because I like that mold better. I like that size better. I like the fact that it roars. Like at this point, it's about filling
Yeah.
out my park the way that I see it and the way I want it. Like Ankylosaurs, I have multiples of 2 paint jobs. I'm good on Ankylosaurs. Like I don't think I
Yeah.
will ever need one ever again. So, like my collecting mentality is changing when it comes to Jurassic World. And is that oversaturation, or is that just me coming to the realization that this is just going to go on forever, like Star Wars does? You know, I
Yeah,
don't know.
and that's the complaint right now with all the Star Wars toys is like, oh, nothing new. It's all just this is re-releases of 40th anniversary of Empire Strikes Back toys. It's like, ugh. But the collectors are still getting them. I got a bunch the other day from Empire Strikes Back. So I mean, this Leia that I have right here is amazing. Like it's incredible looking, and even the Black Series stuff, it tends to get better and better as it goes on. But I don't know. It is like something like this is going to be like, do you need this in your collection? I've been able to pick and choose with a lot of the bigger dinosaurs, like the Spinosaurus that came out, the blue one. I'm like, I don't need that. Um,
Right.
the
Yes.
Tarbosaurus, I'm like, I don't need the Tarbosaurus. Um, there's another one out there right now, the Cryolophosaurus. I still have not gotten that because I'm like, I don't know, I don't really need it right now. Even some of the original stuff I never got around to, but yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of confused with all this primal attack stuff. This might not be the box art. There's a possibility. We do know that there are other boxes outside of Bumpy that are Camp Cretaceous related. So,
Right.
this could just be some sort of test or, prototype or whatever. We don't know what this is, but I think it would be cool to see at least, despite not necessarily wanting it myself. It would be cool for others.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not gonna go out of my way to hunt it down. But if I'm on Entertainment Earth and they've got them easily available to order, I remember when the Spinosaurus came out and it was only available in the UK. I remember it was like, what blood do I gotta sell to get this thing shipped? What
Yeah.
organs can I part with to get this thing
Yeah.
shipped to the States, or to Canada? And
Yeah.
yeah, like you said, with the blue Spino, like, yeah, it would have been nice, but I didn't come across one naturally. I'm not gonna pay the prices to get one. Like, okay, I guess I don't really need one. Um, I
Sure.
had this I had this conversation with you earlier about the Saurasuchus, which, if anybody who listens to the podcast regularly knows, I was super stoked about that. And
Hmm.
then the all this virus stuff hit, and I was thinking today, it came to mind. I was like, hey, I wonder if that ever like came through. And I was just like looking through my Amazon orders, like, oh yeah, one was shipped to the States for me. But like, my mentality right now is like, wow, there's so many more things important in my life right now than
Yeah.
collecting mass amounts of plastic dinosaurs. So I don't know. I think
Yeah.
Mattel might be in a little bit of trouble in that sense. Um, but
Yeah, it's
you know,
it's ve- it's
see,
definitely it's definitely a weird time for collecting specifically Jurassic stuff. I feel like right now there's not, after the initial wave of primal attack stuff, there's been no restocks, and stores are very odd right now trying to go in there. It's like, as far as going on a toy hunt is concerned, it's like almost non-existent. I quickly browsed through there real quick. I'm like, nothing new, and that's it.
right.
But and then you have the problem of, like you just mentioned, that like there was the original Carnotaurus, which I think
Was a
that's still
great toy.
yeah, I think that's still my favorite one. But you mentioned the sizing issue. It definitely seems small, and I don't know. I just think it's very, very cool looking, though. It's a very Crash McCreary, very stoic looking. I love the way it's posed, but yeah, it is kind of undersized, and I love the paint job on that. I don't necessarily love the new one as far as the paint job's concerned. I think it's a little soft. I mentioned before that it's kind of a little cartoony, which maybe plays into the fact that maybe there, I don't know, maybe there's two of these Carnotaurus in this show, um, because
Right.
we do know that they're, at least from Fallen Kingdom, at least, right? There was two in the movie. There was, I think there was one even with the scratches on the nose, right? So are we to believe that that's Toro in the end of that movie? Because at the end there's another one. So I don't know, but with a third toy, I'm like, is that oversaturating this? Because we have the Control and Conquer, then we have Toro coming out, which is the exact same thing as the Control and Conquer, just repainted, and then we have this maybe exact same thing as the Control and Conquer, just unpainted. That's a little bit of an oversaturation, I think, as far as the Carnotaurus is concerned.
I mean, as long as Mattel releases two decent paint jobs, they kind of lose me after two, because I'm kind of just like, well, I've got my boy dinosaur and my girl dinosaur, and I get that Jurassic World tried to set this precedent that, like, no, the dinosaurs can be any color because they come from different batches. But I still very much have that mentality, that Lost World mentality that I had as in '97, which was,
Hmm.
Lost World introduced the concept of the male dinosaur in the franchise, and You did. You had two styles of raptor in that. There were two styles of raptor in that movie, correct? There was like the
There
tiger
are,
stripe.
but like I don't really see it all that much, but there are, you know. I
The
don't look
tiger
out for it
stripe
to be
is
honest,
definitely
but
more. The tiger stripe is definitely more prominent in that movie.
mhm.
But I'm like convinced that there's still just like a standard brown one.
There is, I believe, yeah.
So for somewhere in the marketing or something, they convinced me in my head that yeah, now there's male and female dinosaurs, and
Mhm.
I feel like I still kind of carry that with me in my dinosaur collecting, where it's like, well, what do I do with this random weird third repaint? Like I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
Um, which is just me, just from when I was a kid. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I think how can Mattel just keep repainting these things? Because they're not. It's not like Han Solo, right? It's not like, oh, this Han Solo now has this weapon. It's like, okay, it's just another Ankylosaurus. Like, what makes this new one special aside from the new paint job?
Yeah, that's where like something like this needs to come with two mercenaries or, you know, two ACU troopers or something.
Or just
Or you
characters in
put in
general.
or you put in like one of these kids or something like that. Like that would be an interesting way to sell it. You know, because if they
Yeah,
did that, if they're like, well, we're not doing these smaller, you know, attack pack style kid variants, so you're not going to get just them solely alone, but we'll throw them in with this control and conquer invisible cloaking camouflage dinosaur.
you know,
Then I
I
think you'd
thought
be
that
like,
was.
well, maybe.
I might have said this to you before, but I thought that was like one of Hasbro's. I thought that was the dumbest thing Hasbro had done, which was sell when they had like the line that came out around JP3D, which was just the Allosaurus and the Pachyrhinosaurus. Those came with human figures. I remember being like, this is dumb. Like, so if I buy like two Allosaurs, I get two of this like same human. Like that doesn't seem right. Why wouldn't you just sell this
Hmm.
separately? But after seeing what I've seen with Mattel, it's like, oh no, like you have to sell humans with these dinosaurs. I think that's where they have to go
Hmm.
if I ever want to see human figures again.
Yeah.
Because I don't think we'll get human figures with Camp Cretaceous at all. I think you'll get dinosaurs and that'll be it.
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder if they'll follow the Hasbro format with the Star Wars stuff because they have, well, Hasbro has so many variants at this point, but like they've kind of backed off or fully backed off, I guess, like the 3 3/4 inch like new stuff. You're getting some retro stuff right now, but they do have the 6 inch Black Series, and then they're doing the Galaxy of Adventures stuff, and that's where this would excel, I guess, is the more cartoony variants of. They're kind of like 4.5, 4 inch, I think, or something like that. They're very cartoony variants of the Star Wars characters.
Yeah, I don't want another scale change.
No,
Like
me neither.
handle a third. No, this would be a fourth scale in the Jurassic line. Like I've got my Jeeps. Like I bought like three of those Jeeps. Like if they came out
Yeah.
with Explorers, I want the Explorers in that size. If they came out with
Well,
uh, the
this
Humvee,
would be
I want
something
it in that.
different. This like the the Galaxy of Adventure stuff is it's its own thing. Like it's self-contained. So I think if they were to do this, it would be confusing for sure. But maybe if they did just the humans in that weird scale and the cartoony versions, they would just be their own thing. And I don't you wouldn't really line them up with the Jeeps and the other
So it's
dinosaurs.
like outside
But
of like what Star Wars does with like Imagine Tex or whatever that
Imagine
brand is.
Next.
Yeah,
Um, do they do Imagine X too? I mean, Jurassic does Imagine Next. And
there is a
I mean,
line that is it's the competing line
okay,
of
whatever they
Hasbro.
have.
Like they have
Hmm.
something very similar.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what theirs is, but I don't see that happening because like it's already too confusing as it is, and Bumpy is in the same scale. That's what they put it as. It's in the same scale as the other toys, and I just don't get that. Doesn't make sense to me. But I don't know. I think we will see the humans though. I do think we will. And I hope that's not the tease that we were getting when I interviewed them and they're like, humans are coming. They will be coming in the future. I hope it's not that it's only these cartoony ones that you'll see from the show. I hope that was not the tease.
No, I think for the next movie for Dominion, we'll get more humans, but
That's for sure, yeah.
I think it's gonna be wildly different than what we experienced with Fallen Kingdom. I think it's gonna be humans with other props, you know, or hey, if they wanted to borrow something from the past, humans with babies and weaponry, like that's a $15 toy right there. Like, you know, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. But I think we've probably exhausted everything. What do you think?
I think we've exhausted everything. And if you're still watching this video, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. This is a 2-hour video right here. So let's wind it down. Aaron, where can everybody find you online?
Everyone can find me on Twitter at Aaron D. Beyer. And that's about it right now.
That's it. Awesome. I guess thank you, everybody. You can follow me at Jurassic Park Pod on Twitter and myself at Jost on Twitter. Thank you so much for watching this video. Thank you for listening to the podcast. We really appreciate it. And
join the Facebook group.
Oh yeah, join the Facebook group. Answer the 2 questions. Who's a person from the franchise, an actor or actress who is a contributor or host on the podcast? 2 very simple questions.
Below us. Those are the answers.
Yeah, you'll see them right down there. If you're watching this, if you're listening, just listen better. My name is Brad. That's Aaron. Thank you, Aaron, for joining me. What do you say we head out of here?
Let's do it.